energy to recover and repair. So that was one of those steps that I took in order to try to address some of the more healthier ways of doing things for a little while. Anybody else up here a vegan at any point in time? No?
I tried it for a little bit.
And?
Man, with the amount of training I train, so as an MMA fighter, I get out, I train like 4 to 5, 6 hours every single day. So much cardio. Being vegan, it's pretty tough. I mean, you gotta have some, you'll break down pretty fast if you don't have some meat in there, I feel like.
You need more calorie dense food, yeah.
Definitely.
George, no.
I was never a vegan myself, but I've helped some people who, are into the fitness world and they live a vegan lifestyle, and I take my hat off to people who live their lives as vegans, because I believe it's a healthy way of living.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. I know there's one bodybuilder that me and Kai met in India who was, when you compete at the Shrew Classic, I forget the guy's name now. Remember the big, tall Indian dude who was
Probably should have talked about that before.
Oh, sorry, he didn't. I didn't brief Kai on who I was going to bring up.
What was his name, actually?
Varinder Singh.
Ah, Durseen. Yeah, Durseen. He's like 6'2", 280-ish, and he never, I don't know if it's because he's a vegan or what, but he never had that density to his muscle that the other guys did, and he never really did very well. But he was a huge star in India. All right, guys, next question. Yes, sir.
Kind of going off the health side of things, how do you guys change between your diets on being in prep versus just your normal living? Talking about working out as much as you do, finding the right calorie intake per day, and then sticking to the schedule.
So his question was, how do you determine how you switch your diet, your calories, your protein, etc., when you're training for a contest or a fight, versus when you're just in the off season doing your normal thing? Sage?
Yeah, so when I'm training for a fight, most of the time you get like a fight scheduled, you have about 8 weeks to train. So you're training year round, but for instance, like for me, if I'm fighting at lightweight, I die down to 155 pounds. I'll cut weight from about 168, and I'll cut all that weight, almost 15 pounds, like literally the night before the weigh-in. So I cut that in a few hours, and then you go out there, but the diet to go into that's like a big thing, like you're asking. So eating super clean for me, I probably eat like these guys, but not near the amount of food, not near the amount of calories. But I eat probably 4 to 5 times a day. I don't really count my calories so much, but I'll eat like a few cups of rice. It might be like a chicken breast or 2, and then like start slimming down just a little bit, but I like over time.
How about you, Kenny, since you're on all the time?
Right, yeah, what we do, we have no off season, so it's very difficult. I can't really pinpoint a day where I have to look a certain way or feel a certain way. So for me, knowing that I have to perform every single week, and some of those matches are big performances and others, I have to sort of judge, and it's always like a learning process of your own body. So it's easy for someone to say, well, just eat, 10 pounds of red meat every day. For me, maybe I don't respond so well to beef. Maybe I don't respond so well to pork. For me, to pack on lean muscle, I resort to fish. I eat a lot of fish. Chicken or fish. Yeah, turkey is okay too. But I would say, much like a fighter's lifestyle, for example, I have to listen to how my body's responding. Because not only is how I look important for the fans and for myself, being, a more performer for what we do, but I have to be able to have that energy. Sort of created a style where I'm very dynamic, very explosive. And if I don't have that, then I'm not the character that I'm portraying on TV. So I need to make sure that I look okay, but I can't be completely dialed in or completely shredded, because then I become injury prone, which I can't have because I've got to do this a lot of days of the week for the entire year. So it's difficult.
Kenny, have you ever noticed when you're in your absolute best condition that you feel less good?
My absolute best looking condition is when I feel the worst. It's incredible. I might look at a picture and go, wow, I look shredded. Or I might wow, geez, I built a huge back for this match. But I remember I was so gassed out after the first 3 minutes. Or when I was really thin or really dialed in, striations, abs, all that stuff, just vascularity. I remember, man, every bump that I took in that match just hurt so bad, and I remember it took so long to recover after that match. It's that happy medium we got to find as performers, I think, which it just makes it I think it's always sports specific. So what I do is very different from what he does, what different from what you do, from what they do. But you got to find what works for you, and everybody's different.
So Kai had some experience just recently wrestling Brian Cage, his first wrestling experience. Kai, what'd you think about that? Just taking a little bit off topic.
Well, shout out to Brian.
He works
Respect
with
to
Kenny.
you. That's an amazing feat to take on. I developed certainly a very new and deeper appreciation for the art.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. What can I say? It's exciting, but it is definitely something to take a lot of time to work on developing some skills, an awareness of your body, of working with some of the trust issues that you would have with working with someone else. In which case you also end up having to depend on and trust in your ability to work with other people that are very, very, at least in my case, were a lot more skilled than I. So that helps. It helped a lot in order to even help me to look okay in an experience like that. So yeah.
I thought you did pretty damn good. George, any insight on contest prep versus off season?
Well, my contest prep and off-season diet, the protein intake is high for both. The biggest change between off-season and getting ready for a contest is my carbohydrate intake. For getting ready for a contest, my carbohydrate intake is, very low to non-existent. And when I go into my off season where I'm having much more carbohydrates, still high protein, I still incorporate a little bit of protein, because that's also good, for the heart, and for your, cardiovascular health, so that's pretty much the biggest difference for me.
Okay, next question, guys. Who else has a question? Yes, sir, right there.
Dang. So okay.
Most extreme to cut weight? Or is it? Go ahead.
So a lot of times I cut weight in the bathtub actually. So what we do is 2 days before the weigh-in, you do something called water loading. So you drink 2.5 gallons of water one day. Next day, 2.5 gallons of water. The next day it's half a gallon, then no water at all. So if that's the right math, but so then one time I was cutting down. I walk around right now I weigh 185-ish, but sometimes I fight at 155 or 170. One of my fights at lightweight, getting down to 155, man, I broke underneath the 160s. I was weighing 158, and the last 2 or 3 pounds, I was struggling big time to sweat. I went and sat in the sauna for 45 minutes, couldn't break a sweat. So then I had now my brother-in-law, he's like, hey Sage, you should try this out. So he comes to my room, I'm hopping in the bathtub with my swimsuit on and stuff, and he's like, we gotta pour Evergreen winter, I think it was alcohol or something in the bathtub, mixed with these salts. Anyone that did it, it sucks the water out of your muscle, sucks the water of everything. Thing is though, you feel depleted after that, so it's a win-lose thing, but I went off to win that fight, so that was good. But that was a pretty serious weight cut.
How fast, Sage, after you do that weight cut, you weigh in, and then how much time do you have to actually get back before the fight?
All right, so check this out. So once you weigh in, let's say I weigh in 155, literally within an hour or two, I'm already weighing close to 170. By the time I walk out, I'm weighing 175. Or if I weigh in 170, for instance, the guys are walking out there weighing 190. I've known some guys that walk out there close to 200 by the next day. So yeah, your body bounces back so fast.
Did you ever do the baking soda trick?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
I used to do when I would compete in jiu-jitsu. Sitting in the sauna, just coated in baking soda and scraping it off with a credit card. Oh, those are not the fondest of memories. You're just all powdered up, on your face and all of your body, just to try to take any last little bit of water out of your pores. And that was actually the reason why I made the decision after that, my last cut, which was major. Same problem as you, where it's I got to the last 3 pounds, it just wouldn't shed. And I was like, man, even when I do this tournament, I'm going for the finish and I want to have exciting matches. I'm just an entertainer. I got to just go straight with wrestling. I got to stick to that. That was my last tournament, but I respect it, man. It's rough. Cutting weight is the toughest part.
Questions, guys? Go ahead, sir. So what would you guys say you did to become an elite bodybuilder? George, why don't you go first? I feel like this is gonna be a longer answer. Go ahead, George.
I would say, I can sum that up with one word: consistency. Just remaining consistent with the training, with the dieting, with the routine, you know, and understanding that the sport, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You have to be patient, you have to take your time, you have to take the time to learn how your body works, and if you have someone helping you, guiding you, giving them the time to understand how your body works, you keep on progressing, training hard but smart at the same time, because what can stop your progression is injury. And I know when we go to the gym and we're feeling strong, we want to go balls to the wall, we want to lift the entire gym, right? I know that's how we all feel, you know, but you also want to understand that, you know, there's a difference between stimulating the muscle and annihilating it. Like I believe it was a quote from Lee Haney where he said, there's a time where you want to stimulate, not annihilate. And you know, you have to understand that, especially when you're pre-contest, you're at your weakest state, but you're looking great. That's when you want to, you know, not necessarily go in there and lift the entire gym. You just want to, you know, work that muscle, and that's how you can prevent yourself from getting injured, and that'll attest to your longevity in this sport, and that's how you can become an elite bodybuilder.
Kyle. Yeah. Oh man. That's well said. I want to piggyback off of what George just said. Everything George just said, I agree with. And I think there's the basics that just are unavoidable. But I think in order to be an elite level bodybuilder, basics aren't enough, but you have to master them. You know, you have to master your basics, you know. And once you got, you know, command of your basics, you know, that is driven through respect and appreciation and the execution of right thinking, then there's another set of steps that have to be done that technically will be where you're gonna really be on your own, you know. It is probably the easiest thing to do for someone to tell you, hey man, you know, just work hard, you know, sets and reps, you know, time under tension, you know, all of those things that we'll read about in the book, you know. But in order to be an elite level, you have to appreciate the idea that there's got to be more, and there is. Your basics are the so what. You have to master them, whether they're difficult or not. You master them and you make them your friend to the point where you're able to do them on automatic pilot. And you ain't stuck answering dumb questions like, oh, so how many grams, how many? Those are the basics. You need to master that, you know, and you need to be able to master it with such a kind of command that you speak with a kind of bold arrogance. Because it's just, it's a confidence that's based on doing, you know? It's like, maybe in other places in the world you may not excel. Like for me, some other stuff I could do that I really couldn't do very, very well. Like if you asked me, hey Kai, walk over here and talk to me about finance a little bit. If you asked me 5 years ago, I would have nothing to say about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey Kai, do me a favor, multiply this, add it by this, and do, done. I'd look stupid. However, there's one thing though, that if you put me in the ring or put me in a space to deal with just that I identify as my thing, when it came to understanding my basics, particularly the things that I thought were going to help me become the thing that I wanted to be most, then that's where I have to give myself license to excel. And the only way I can do that is by mastering those basics. Those basics are important. So important, in fact, that I will never hear myself say, well, damn, I gotta cut these carbs. Damn, I gotta cut these calories. Damn, it's so tough trying to make this weight. What happens is, because of the basics that I'm talking about, that you must master, you're able to do it on automatic pilot. You're able to do it in your sleep. You're able to do it where it becomes effortless. And with that, now you're ready for the more, and the more there is about being able to unleash your champion. You know what I'm saying? That's that person that's able to do shit that other people say are impossible. You know, the stuff that we would say, oh man, it's undoable. You can't do that. You know, there's 30 other reasons why you shouldn't even be thinking about trying to do something like that. But the only way that place, that elite level place, even becomes a place to even start to look at and think about is by mastering your basics. So without those basics, put in your pocket and not even thought about anymore because you just masterfully command them without even thinking about it, because you do them over and over and over and over and over. You ain't gotta say consistency anymore. He just told you, consistency. Over and over and over and over. Your girlfriend just left already. She's tired. I don't care about whether or not you want to be a champion, anything. Over and over and over. Your best friend, hey man, we supported you. We said we come to every show, but you know what? Right now I'm tired. I got other stuff to do. We can't make it. Over and over and over. It doesn't matter. Those basics are important, and they are the building block, the stepping stone for everything else. Over and over and over. Somebody say, God, damn, did you answer that question 5 minutes ago? Why are we still here? Why are you still talking about it? Over and over and over, and it still goes. And it still goes. And it still goes. You know why? Because it's so important to you. It is so important to you. It's not something that you say with your mouth. It's something that you say with your thoughts and your actions. So the over and over and over and over, it just continues to happen without you even thinking about it. Days have gone by, weeks have gone by, months have gone by, years have gone by. People that you started this process with at the beginning of your journey have long since fallen off. They don't know you anymore. You don't see them anymore. And you're still going over and over and over. Damn, this question is still being answered, Kai? Come on, man. We all have something to do. My point is, it's that relentlessness that will help you get to the place of not only mastering your basics, but allowing you to begin to start to tap into what becomes that elite level.
Go. All right, guys, we have time for one more question. Right there. Yes, ma'am.
This is for Kenny.
Huh?
How does your training change between your weekly shows and like preparing for W?
It's a very good question. So, a big part of it comes down to, do I know who I'm going to be wrestling for the big show? Do I know what kind of match it's going to be for that big show? If I know that, then that sort of decides how I'm going to train, how I'm going to build my body, how I'm going to prepare myself, whether it's, do I need to be a little bigger? Do I need to be a little smaller? Do I need to be a little faster? Do I need to put a little bit more mass on because I know I'm going to be falling off of something really high into something really hard? For example, for Double or Nothing, I've got Orange Cassidy, and I've got Pac. So that's a three-way match, and it's a little different. It's very different and very unique and very rare. And Pac being just the freak of nature that he is, and Orange being a very unique character that he is, I have to stand out in my own way. And the best way for me to do that is to rely on my explosiveness and rely on what makes Kenny Omega special, and being able to trigger that Kenny Omega mode where all the movements that I do, everything that I do in that moment, even if it's just small facial reactions, the way that my body responds after a kick out, the way that my body is moving in between maneuvers, I need to make sure that I exude energy that I know that my opponents won't or don't have the ability to. So that sort of decides how much rest time I have in between sets, how many reps that I am doing, what kind of weights that I'm lifting, what kind of exercises in general that I'm doing, because that affects my pacing and my breathing, and when I have to breathe, when I have to, it's a game plan, and I have to formulate everything towards that because I have injuries, I get illnesses. You know, I'm not invincible, especially now, not anymore. I'm getting close to 40, so I need to make sure that my game plan is very meticulous when I aim towards that day, because I'm already falling apart, and if I don't have a proper game plan for that one day, I'm not even going to look like the person that everyone thinks that I am. So it's very difficult, but week to week, it's just maintenance, just trying to make sure everything stays together. That's all it is. I would say, if anything, my training is less important than my stretching and my physio at this point. But preparing for the big shows, yeah, I make sure I have a game plan headed out for each and every one of them. And in this case, it's very unique. Yeah. I'm sorry, as a fan of bodybuilding, I actually have a question, if that's okay.
Of course.
For Kai and Cedric. So, you know, as humans, we're all born very differently. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. How did you use your strengths to your advantage when you were training? And how did you defeat your weaknesses, or at least cope with your weaknesses as you're trying to develop the perfect physique?
Well, you know, in the world of bodybuilding, that's what you want to put your focus on the most is your weaknesses. You know, especially when you say when you have. I always tell people, like, you have a good coach, or a good person who's guiding you when their first priority is to tell you what's wrong with you, rather than what's right with you. So when we're there training, we're looking at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, okay, well, what do I have to do to this physique to make it more balanced? What do I need to bring up? Okay, maybe I need a little more legs here. Maybe I need more chest here. And when we see those flaws in our physique, we basically put that emphasis on our training split. Maybe some guys may need to train chest twice a week. Maybe some guys may need to hit hamstrings twice a week. But that's pretty much how we do it for the most part. We focus on our weaknesses and the body parts that are strengths. I always say, like, a good bodybuilder wouldn't, because when you have a body part that's one of your strongest body parts, you don't necessarily need to go so hardcore with that, because that's already right. You want your physique to be balanced, so you need to just focus on those weak points, and that's how you become a more complete bodybuilder. What about you, Kai?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Everything. But I'll take it a step further to add. I think that there's also, like, the road to this thing, the root of this experience is self-mastery, self-development. You know what I mean? And I think that any body part that is weak are usually the body parts that you find it more difficult to connect with, which usually means that there's less time and opportunity that you're applying ample stimulation, activation, and in an effort to kind of switch that around. The change that has to happen isn't physical first, it's a mental thing, you know what I mean? And people will talk about mindset all day, but technically, I think with that mindset, to identify what the mindset is, it is, one, recognizing that it is my responsibility, right, and power, to decide what I'm going to do with this power that is mine, this ability to live this life, to decide what I will do with this life. And since it is that I identify that this bodybuilding thing and improving my physique is going to be the rock that I'm going to build this church on, then that said, okay, now following through with every plan that I put in my path in an effort to help me to develop in the way that I want to go most, is the thing that follows. But that whole process, I think, is a mental one, and it's the one that, again, starts to represent that elite level thinking required to become the elite level athlete.
So real quick, one other thing, Kenny, though, also when it comes to working on those weak points is also the calorie intake that a bodybuilder takes. So let's say, for example, you're right. Let's say if a guy feels like he has a weak chest, on that chest day, typically he would have more calories that day compared to a day that that's one of his stronger body parts. So say for me, for example, a strong body part of mine is back. So what I normally do is I kind of almost starve my back, but I don't have as much calories as I would, just say, on a leg day, or you know what I mean? So that's another kind of manipulation that you do to become better.
Good question, Kenny. So, guys, thank you so much.
For a while.
So thank you guys so much for coming and seeing us here. Hopefully you've enjoyed the gym. And I'm not sure who's up next, but we have one more seminar, I believe, right after this. And hopefully you had a great time. Checked out the gym. Make sure you see all the cool equipment. And thank you guys very, very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, guys.